And thanks Simon for hosting us and Dairy Tas for putting this event on. My name's Mark White from Goanna Energy Consulting. We're a family, just a husband and wife, independent consulting business. Our main line of business is doing electricity and natural gas contracts. And we've done that in Tasmania for the past 3 years, and doing that we've saved our Tasmanian clients $1.3 million, so we're pretty happy about that. That's the only reason we exist. This is our legal disclaimer. It says we're not here giving financial advice. Very important that David sees that today. So I did display that. Now the reason why we're all here, can everybody see this graph okay? Okay, this is the ABS Utilities Price Inflation Index, and you can see it's tracked along fairly benign here for several years, up to about 2007, then it's taken off like a skyrocket, and the bad news is there's more to come. The reason for that is that all around Australia, and indeed Tasmania, the electrical infrastructure, the poles, wires and transmission lines are ageing, with people installing reverse cycle air conditioners, plasma televisions and all sorts of other household gadgets. The peak demand is increasing at a rate above the average demand, and in Tasmania, for instance, an Aurora Energy spokesman announced back in October, as reported in the Mercury, that Aurora were facing a $588 million works program. And Tasmania total electricity consumption is in the order of about $1 billion per year. So that sort of investment's significant. Tranche also, in their 2009 to 2004 revenue determination, asked for $961 million, as reported by the Energy Users Association in 2008. That's across a 5-year period. We've got the new Tamar Valley Power Station, natural gas-fired power station, a $450 million asset. And of course, as you all know, we've got the Basslink cable, which was reported in the Mercury this year as costing somewhere in the vicinity of $110 million per annum for the facility fee, which in other words is the cost of just having the cable sitting there before it does anything. And on top of that, over the past 3 years, we've seen significant imports of electricity from Victoria to the tune of between around $50 million up to $100 million during those drought years back in 2006, 2007. So there's some massive costs that the state has to come to grips with. And in fact, if you look at the investment all over Australia, the Energy Networks Association said there was $42 billion worth of investment in network infrastructure required in Australia over the next 5 years. And so when we talk about electricity prices, this network infrastructure makes up around half of the average bill. That's transporting the electricity over distances and the local transformers, poles and wires. And this part of the electricity bill is actually growing faster now in cost than what the energy, so the generation and the hydro energy prices are rising. So substantial cost increases there. Today we're just talking a bit about contestability. So those people like Simon who stuck their hand up before, and Mark who's been through an electricity contracting process, they're probably part of what was known as Tranche 4. So as each state government around Australia has deregulated their electricity market under the COAG microeconomic reforms, they've started with the largest customers first, just to make it a gradual process of introducing competition. And last year we were down to customers who spend at one metered site around $30,000 or more per annum, which picked up a few of the larger dairies and perhaps a few of the larger irrigators. Next year there's a new tranche called Tranche 5a. That tranche will basically pick up customers that use in excess of 50 megawatt hours per annum. In dollar terms, that's around about $10,000 per annum spend. So that will pick up the bulk of the remaining dairies and reasonable size irrigators. Probably the main difference to note with this new Tranche 5a, and you will be getting letters from Aurora and probably one from the Tasmanian Economic Regulator that says your dairy or your irrigation pump has been deemed as a Tranche 5a customer. This means that from the 1st of July 2011, you are able to elect a retailer of your choice. There's only 2 active ones in Tasmania at the moment. They are Aurora Energy, who's here today, Daniel and Megan, who are probably on the road the most, training customers throughout the state, and also ERM Power is the other retailer that you're likely to have a choice of. There are 3 other registered retailers in Tasmania. However, we haven't yet seen them active in agribusiness, if you like. We haven't really seen them active in small, medium enterprise business. So whilst you're free to contact True Energy, Country Energy or AGL, you know, we're doing this sort of business every week, and we're not seeing them quoting at the moment. So at the moment, most of the contestable offers we're getting are from those 2 retailers. One big difference with this new Tranche 5a that happens next year is the customers like Mark and Simon who went before, they didn't have a choice after they run out of their 12-month tariff. They had no choice but to negotiate a contract. The legislation in Tasmania for these Tranche 5a customers is quite different. There will be what's known as a standing offer contract available. So it'll be probably, we don't know what it's like yet because we haven't seen an example of it, but we suspect it's likely to be something like the tariff that you're probably on, and you will be able to stay on that indefinitely. Of course, it'll face all the normal price rises that Aurora Retail, as the incumbent retailer, decide upon, and it's probably may also be a regulated tariff. I'm not 100% sure on that. But for these Tranche 5a customers, the message is you only need to move on to a contestable market contract if you can save money over this standing offer. Now, all the sites that went before, they didn't have this option of staying on the tariff. But these ones will have an option of staying on what will be called a standing offer contract. Anybody got any questions about that? And in fact, on the Goanna Energy website, goannaenergy.com.au, you'll actually find a 100-page report where we went around the state interviewing 84 customers in this Tranche 4, and the findings about a lack of information and a lack of understanding are highlighted in that report. That report contained, I think it was about 11 or 13 recommendations, and the regulator adopted about 7 of those regulations within 3 months of us publishing that report, and Aurora Energy adopted one of the other recommendations within 3 months of us publishing that report. So one of the reasons I'm here today is to try and highlight this issue. Electricity, you used to be able to just pay the bill and expect that you're on the right tariff. That is no longer the case. You will increasingly have to play a more active role in understanding and making decisions about your electricity than you ever have over the past, 50 years. Now, we've been talking a lot about the poles and wires cost going up, and as I said, Paul's going to talk about these network tariffs. So these are regulated costs. You don't have any opportunity to negotiate these costs. What you do have is a choice, often of 3, sometimes more, network tariffs that you can choose from. And a large part of our business is helping customers select the right one of those. The other main part of our business is negotiating these electricity contracts. And so when we're doing that, we're negotiating peak energy rates, off-peak energy rates, the mandatory renewable energy certificates and the metering costs. And we're looking for the retailer, either Aurora or ERM, who offer the cheapest in that total bundle of all those 4 what we call contestable cost elements. The other thing that's worth noting is once you get a new contestable bill, Chris and Simon, have you been able to understand it? Yeah, it's been fairly easy to understand.
Probably the big unknown, the networks probably is the tricky one.
Yep. And what have you found difficult about the network tariff?
Just finding it.
Finding it, okay. One of the difficulties with working out your bill is there's also locational and connection point loss factors, which makes it pretty hard. And in fact, that 100-page electricity report that we published in January of this year, we actually made a comment around the fact that 95% of customers we interviewed wouldn't have been in a position to reconcile their own contestable electricity contract with any certainty. Thanks very much for your time.